How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good. Okay. So, I see that we've played a lot of games on both accounts. Is there one that you specifically wanted to look at, or do you have specific questions that you want to talk about before we look at games or anything?
Um, Probably say that the Gilda Lily account is my strongest MMR account, so that's where I'm facing like Masters. I had a few GMs in my lobbies today, and on that account you can see like a noticeable shift in the pace of the game. Um, so I guess no questions up front. Just looking forward to see what you guys have to offer that I can just incorporate.
Yeah. So, I'll just share screen. Is there a specific uh like game from this account that you recall that you would really want to look at, or just like we can just pick one and go from there?
Let's see. Well, I know the most recent game is one that we got shit stomped in lane, but we were able to win because I was like, all right, lane's dead. Let me leave and see what I can do to roam. Um, but I would say the other games I played pretty standard. Try to play for each objective, roam when I can, stuff like that. So I don't know if there's anyone that specifically needs looking into.
Okay, so let's go here and let's pick this one.
Okay, is that a good one? I'm hoping it's a good one.
This button. There we go.
This button.
Yeah, Control Shift W. It's a cheat.
I'm glad that you're driving because I'm so bad at navigating this.
Uh, Blue. Okay, so before we start, let's look at the bot lane. Let's just look at it specifically in the 2v2 scenario.
Okay.
We have Ziggs versus Maokai and Sarah. Sorry, Ziggs and Maokai versus Sarah and Rel.
Rel.
So what do you know about the lane, or how do you feel that you should play it?
I know there's one specific interaction where I can cancel her W with my Q if I time it like perfectly. It's a tough interaction to hit versus like if I'm like a Nautilus, not Nautilus, Alistar, and I can just neutralize the lane, right? Um, but I'm comfortable in that Rel won't just be able to. All things equal, like we're at the same level. They don't have level advantage. Uh, she can't jump in without risk dying. Especially with the Seraphine that doesn't have the greatest follow up. I mean, if something's CC'd and in place, she can pump all of her damage, but I still feel like it's not going to be an insta death.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel very comfortable in this matchup, especially being able to peel against her engage and being able to land the Q onto her W if she does do an engage. But overall, to me, it's a net neutral lane. Um, I don't expect to die in lane, and I know I could be as useful in future team fights and roaming situations.
Gotcha. So what do you feel about like the combo of Ziggs and Maokai? What do you feel about it?
I think in theory it can be okay. I don't think it's the best combination, especially if I W in, I Q knocks back somebody, and the Ziggs doesn't plan for that, so they just throw their Q right when I W, and then it'll force the Q to miss, and then boom, we're just down one of our biggest damaging spells, and now all of a sudden we're going to lose the trade as a result of it. So I don't think it's the greatest combination. I remember in draft he was like, "I'm picking Ziggs. Just pick a roaming support and do your business. Like roam, I'll be fine. Just 1v2 wave clearing." So that was kind of the logic. But I mean, I was going to pick Maokai anyway, but it was kind of the logic heading into the game.
There's actually like a similar matchup where it's like Ziggs and Nautilus, which is really strong. It's because like the Nautilus provides like lockdown kind of like CC for Ziggs
Right.
to give like damage, like just be able to land skill shots, right? And like
Mm-hmm.
also his passive auto attack is also damage. So it's like kind of like you can play for lane, but you can also like play for roam. Like it's up to your decision. But Maokai also does like provide some form of CC, but obviously different in like the Nautilus. But it's like you could play similarly to that kind of style if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but to me, it's the displacement that has fucked up, my
Yeah.
ADCs, APCs in the past. So
Mm-hmm.
I
It's a
would be
little bit
hesitant
more
to,
difficult. Yeah.
right, I would be hesitant to engage in this type of lane, knowing that the displacement could fuck up my Ziggs, and the counter damage back to me could get me killed. Versus if Rel engaged, I know that I could peel her and win the trade from there,
Yeah.
if
Okay.
that makes sense.
So yeah. And also like it's like a Seraphine as well. So like Ziggs wants to farm and take towers, and Sarah just wants to
Hmm.
farm, play for late game. So kind of
Yep.
like similar ideas that both AD carries want to do.
Yeah, I know in this game I had probably at least 3 instances where I made mistakes. But overall, I think I played decently well.
Yeah. So basically it's like a melee versus melee support, right? In this kind of matchup, it would be good to consider like, hey, since it's melee versus melee, like whoever gets like bush prio will have like push prio in essence,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
So you could think about it in a way where like maybe we just like go earlier so you can get to enter the bush first, or we can like drop a ward down first, right? And that will give us like priority in the bush, because that means then they can't stand there otherwise, if
Normally, I
yeah.
would fully agree with that. I think in this type of lane, understanding a rel and how my inner Q interacts with it, I need to be sitting next to my Ziggs to be able to cancel the Q, at least in the first couple levels.
Yeah, fair enough.
Or to cancel the W, sorry. My Ziggs is trolled there by walking up when they hit level 2. So we got punished for it. Like they're level 2, I don't know why he's walking up. Especially when there's so many minions to go from hitting level 2.
uh Yeah, because they like shove really fast, so we could also just like wait, right? We could also communicate with our like right? It's important to communicate like your teams in like a comp setting, and also to communicate in solo queue, right? So if you see, it's kind of like telegraphed that this wave that they're shoving too fast, this wave dies
Yep.
too soon. So like maybe communicating by pings, being like, hey, like back off, would be something to incorporate, right?
Yeah, and normally I do the warning pings. Because I usually base off how they're positioning. It looked like we were walking back. I don't know why the hell you walk back in. Because right here we're safe. We're like, okay, no problem. And then he walks in for the CS for some reason. And I guess I could have pinged him off harder. But I just didn't expect him to walk back in. I thought he would have the common sense that that's not safe. It's coming into us anyway.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like, oh, like he gets greedy, or like he just like forgets or something like that, right? So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, as like if it's like a respectful like one ping, you back off, and not like, oh, I'm gonna spam ping you. I'm sure like they would be like, okay, like that's reasonable.
Right, yeah. I don't try to like a lot of other people would question mark ping his flash in that situation. I didn't do anything like that. It's just okay, he made a mistake, he greeted for the wave. Now I have to focus on keeping him alive, knowing that he has no flash.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh, think I canceled the W there. Or...
I think it was just her Q, but she was looking. Yeah, she didn't
yeah.
have W because she just used it out of bush, right?
True. Yeah. But he got rooted. I'm like, okay, that's bad. Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
So then
I
you canceled
displaced
her
the Q.
displaced her Q, right? So.
Yeah.
So we see their jungler top.
Mm-hmm.
So he has TP, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And he's got no mana, so he was looking for a reset in full vision, so that they just stopped him and forced him to have to stick around a little bit longer. We see a fight happening in river. I see Rel walking up to it. I know I can't contest. Luckily, Nunu had the wherewithal to just back off.
I just want some more context here. See what happened.
Sure. I don't know why Aatrox is in mid right now, but it's a party.
Yeah. Do you think that with this we could contest this crab as it is right now, contextually in this instance? In this instance.
For sure, we have Aatrox here. We win this contest 10 times out of 10. I guess I didn't realize he was walking towards Scuttle, nor did I know how low he was, because the Udyr shows up pretty much right after you restart this play.
Right, because we see Udyr here, right? And he's walking. What is it? Oh. Wait. It hates my hockey's scoreboard. There. It doesn't like my hockeys in this replay
Okay.
function. But yeah, we see 24. So what does that mean for Udyr?
He's taken 6 camps. He's full cleared, and he's looking to make a play for Scuttles at this point.
Yes. So we know that he's full cleared and that his and since he's walking bot, he's either going to go but he hasn't bought yet, right? So he's either walking bot for a reason, right? And that reason is probably to take the other scuttle. Otherwise, he would just probably like reset and then spend his money and then walk bot, right?
Right.
So it's kind of a little bit so you can kind of deduce from like him showing up and not and just and like showing up and walking straight bot that he's not intending to base, right? So he's walking straight bot. So it's fine to like keep doing what you're doing now, but then we see the pings and the movement of like the map and our players, right?
So that's a good point, only because when I see him walking towards mid, I think it's a gank. I don't think he's crossing mid to go to bot scuttle. Mainly because I didn't realize that you had just taken top scuttle and he's, angry, wants to go get the other one at the same time.
Yes, and now we have a ping that he is intending to play for the scut. And I think this wave is fine enough. It's like even, right? It depends on cannon, but it should theoretically like push back eventually, right? Sure. And we also have numbers advantage, so it's kind of like just in general like an awareness of our team and what they want to do, right? So we could potentially like walk up. Maybe we just walk up to prevent like Udyr from even thinking about it because we have numbers, right? And if you just slightly position in a different way, then nothing really happens because he's too intimidated by people being aware of what's happening, right?
I'm surprised he even goes for that play with Aatrox being mid.
Because he sees Aatrox slightly walking away, but maybe if we also ping that we're coming towards this and being like, hey, like I agree with you and I'm on the same page as you, let's go and fight him off this thing, then maybe Aatrox decides to do something else.
Sure, yeah, well that's a good point.
And then this happens, which could have been, a different outcome, right?
Yeah, I mean luckily no one died, but that could have been a decent gold sweep for us.
Yeah. So like imagine like getting both scuttles and like, and wasting Udyr's time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We ping her.
So at this point, I know I have first step because I thought Rel should have recalled by now. She has yet to shop.
She, yes. But it's like, money. How much money does she have? It would be great to know if I could use my hotkeys. Let me see.
Is it X?
Yeah,
By default?
it doesn't like it when I do that though. Where is this? Show money? Where is that?
Toggle scoreboard items? Is that it?
Uh. Oh, nice. Yeah, so she hasn't bought yet, but she went to have that opportunity to go like mid and then walk bot, which is like a decent like, a choice, right? It's not like bad, but she could also go mid and also like or base or whatever. But at this point in the time, right, our wave is coming in, so we're walking back bot. So who has like the advantage to move right now?
Has to be their bot lane because I
They're
have to come and catch this wave in EXP.
Yeah, and also to know that Ziggs can't move from this wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe in this instance, just a little optimization here, we just walk down and then put this pink later.
Yeah.
Right? Because
it gets immediately taken.
Yeah, because we are not able to move, right?
Yeah. So Rel has been soaking a lot of EXP, which you'll see makes a difference in a few minutes.
I'm just kind of watching to see what happens. Yeah. So we know that bot scuttle is spawning. We also know that Anivia shows, and that we don't get to take this crab because we know. Well, if Anivia is here, which she showed, someone hit the scry here, which means who can that be?
Right.
Right.
It's got to be Udyr.
It's got to be Udyr. So that means we know where Udyr is, and so then this crab is immediately just gone.
Yep.
And we see him. And well, I'll just watch what happens here.
We pinged to take this fight because I think Aatrox is here, and we're like, all right, we have. I don't think we saw how low Aatrox was, but we're like, yeah, this is a good fight for us.
Yeah. And this was a good fight because
We had man advantage.
Well, in this instance, right, we see that Talon in general here, as this is happening, right, makes Anivia flash. So Anivia, well, I mean, we can also see from the what's it called, the map, that Anivia's under tower. So something happened. So Talon has first move, right? And then we see Seraphine here, which means this is absolutely free because she should not be here.
We're
right?
pinching on just two people.
Yeah.
It looks like it's just the Udyr and the Rel at best. So yeah, we take that fight. Eventually get two. I think Rel gets away with her life. And we look to punish more, so we look to get some plates as well. Because we knew that Seraphine just TP'd, but it looks like we didn't push harder than that.
Okay, I love that we have already moved to go to top side here.
You want to pause it? You want to pause it right here? And this is what I normally do. I try to make play for first Drake, look for an opportunity to roam, but take a look at the level between me and Rel.
Are you close?
She's level 6. I'm level 5. No, I'm like halfway. Because remember she did that mid gank and she soaked all that EXP, so she hit 6 way before me, and I think I got to top before Rel was there because we saw her down there, and we didn't start her right away. So I should have pinged that. All right, if we're not going to do it right away, we can't contest this anymore because Rel was coming, and Rel's level 6, and we just straight lose the fight.
1 second here. Let me double check something. So let me see. So this happens. Real gets away. We can base immediately.
Probably in theory, I went to help shove that last wave.
I mean, it depends on your stacks, right?
Yeah, I don't know what my stacks were at this time. I was thinking more so for the EXP to hit 6 to contest Rift better, but I think I was still at least two waves away.
Yeah. No, I think it's good that you get your sightstone here, right? So that's what you should do because you know that you're gonna go topside to contest this Herald. So it's important to make sure you get wards for that. So you kill, you use your stacks, and then you base, you get your stack, and then you're piecing out right now.
Right. Because I want him to get solo plate. I'm just giving him some type of sapling, and then I'm resetting.
Yeah, but we could have, like, you know, done this a little faster and just be on the recall sooner, right? So then this way we wasted maybe like 10 seconds of time just walking back and forth, like 5 to 10, where we could have been reset. And right now we would have been like probably right here by now, maybe, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so then you would just try and take this EXP. And you see Rel bot, and maybe that'll help us a little bit to get 6. Because when does she hit 6? Soon. Well, you know that she's going to hit 6 before you.
So I'm a little hesitant to show mid there, because then it's telegraphing we're playing for Rift. Because normally, if I walk there with no vision, and the jungler's like, hey, I want to make a play for Rift, I'm there, and they're like, oh shit, support's here, and we can, maybe get a kill, or chunk them, something like that. But if I show mid, they know I'm making a play for Rift, and then Rel's gonna come straight up there.
Do you think that in a 4v4 scenario, you would win or they would win?
If Rel doesn't have R, I think we win.
Or if you both have R, like everyone is +6.
If I had my R, I think we win the fight. But I didn't, and Rel. Well, I think it all depends on who has the first engage. And in this case, which you'll see, Rel had first engage, and it ended up working in their favor.
So
I think
I just want to see here, right? Because the last time she showed was like here, right? She's actually like the same, pretty much the same level EXP as you right now. So if we were mid first, we would have level before she does, or if we were just mid in general, right?
Yeah.
Because that's where she hit 6 from soaking this mid wave. But if we were here, right, that cannon with huge XP boost, right? And plus, none of your teammates were with you on this move right now, right? You're here first before Talon, so like, sure, yeah, you can go and walk up by yourself, but there's no one really with you, so it's maybe just better to just like wait. Because it's okay, like waiting is still doing something, right? So we're just waiting. Maybe you just like sit over here. You still get XP range, I think that is, but not in vision. Or like you walk this way and then you sit here or something, right?
Yeah, I think that bot brush is fine too. Or the mid-top brush.
Yeah, this one or like this one or some, well, maybe just sitting here because it's closer, right? So.
Right.
Because this is like, she's like basically the same as you, right? And if we were just mid before she was, then we would just hit 6 first, right?
So she hits right there. That's where I should be pinging the plays dead, plays off. I guess it's just mental boomed on that, and then we kind of get wiped there. So they get Rift and 2 kills.
Yeah, but that's something that we could have done a little bit differently, right?
Yeah.
Just be aware of like what's important to you is first of all like like I guess in the macro stage of things, is to finish support item, or at least to get your wards like the 500, and then
Yep.
also when you hit 6, right?
Yep.
Especially as Maokai, but if you're something like Karma, it really doesn't matter, right? So
Is there an optimal timing to hit your sight stone if you immediately get stacks off cooldown, and always using one for the cannon? Like, is there a specific time frame that you should be targeting for it?
the sooner the better. Um, like on average, like obviously it also depends on matchup, but like the sooner the better. And
Right.
to be always like if you're sitting on 3 stacks, to like you know, be cognizant of that, right?
Yeah, even if it's on a caster, instead of waiting for melees, because
I
then
mean, if you're
it's not
gonna
going to start refreshing.
yeah, I mean, if you're gonna base right away and there's only casters left, like yeah, take it. But if like
Sure.
obviously cannon and then the melees and then the casters, right?
Right.
Because then if you're gonna base and there's only casters left, you might as well use it because it's gonna take 30 seconds for you to walk from base out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Uh, we'll just quickly skim through. Because like the important part here, early game at least, is to identify like what you're playing for, right? What you said to just to deny rel,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you don't want to stand like so you want to stand to protect, right? And to cancel. So as
Right.
long and I feel that how do you feel like how well do you feel that you accomplished that goal in lane?
I mean, apart from that level 1 mishap where I was too far from him, but that's because I don't think he should have been up that far up to begin with. I think I did pretty well. There was one instance where I completely canceled her W, and I don't remember where it was because it was kind of nasty. But um, and we also didn't die in lane once. So I think we played the lane. At least my part, played the lane exactly how I wanted it to. And it's not like they had permanent prio and uh, pressure on us too. We were able to kind of push away back at them and get the similar type of first move. So to me, it was an even lane.
Mm-hmm. I feel that you played this lane like decently well. Let's go and look at another one.
Sure.
We'll just keep running through these.
So we're focusing on more of the laning phase then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's pick the next one, I guess.
Oh,
Unless
thank
if you
God
know.
you didn't pick the most recent one. That's the one we got shit stomped.
I mean, we can look at it. Well, now that you say it,
Oh
we'll look at it anyways.
God.
So, looking at this lane, um, like what kind of things, like in the 2v2, uh, do you think
This
you
is one of
should pay
those.
attention to, or like how you should play the lane, or stuff like that?
For me, it's trying to get bush control, and always tethering kind of their max range. I want to keep Lulu interested to auto attack me, because if she oversteps and I get W on her, she should die. Um, so that's kind of how I go about it. The Lulu played very passively. So there's usually two types of Lulus. One that just wants to constantly auto attack you, glitter lance you, and really shove you in, and then there's other ones that just sit back and either 80 carries. This one was more of the sit back and buff the 80 carry. So I didn't feel too pressured about poke. Um, and then, for the most of the laning phase, it was fine up until I W'd the Lulu and she flashed it under turret. Um, and now I'm just stuck under turret. So that's kind of where it went downhill.
Mm-hmm. Um, so the thing with this is like, right, we have Vayne, who's like the lowest range AD carry in the game, almost,
Hmm.
I think.
Yep.
And even
Ashe has great range.
yeah, Ashe has great range. She also has like slows. So if you
Hmm.
like get on them, and because it's a long lane, right? And if you get on them, they shouldn't be able to like outrun you, right?
Right.
So they should just die if we're like decently close to our tower, like at least have half of the lane to run them down. We
Mhm.
should, if we get on them, they should die.
Yep.
Um, so uh, let's go ahead, get this started. Did we ping? I guess I'll turn sound back on. Did we ping that we wanted to go for this?
I wasn't the one that pinged for it. Somebody else did. So
Okay.
I was just following the pings. I think it
If
was
we're gonna
middle.
do, yeah, something like this, like what's the problem that happened here?
We didn't go as a group. Like we kind of split off, walked towards an area that commonly someone's going to be holding. Like if we are going to do it, we should all go from like the top side, hug the wall, and maybe get an invade from there. But wherever Nidalee entered from, that's usually where people stand 5 point. So kind of telegraphed it.
Yeah, so in this case, like it's a like that's the difference between solo queue and comp, right? Where it's like, oh, with the comps, right? Because some people when the game starts, they're just AFK, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at this point in the game, you already know that they're AFK, right? They're
Yep.
not gonna be able to join up with you in time, no matter how much they rush. You just call this off,
Yeah.
right? So instead now we can just go bot, and you can do some other meaningful things like maybe if you want to ward mid bush, you can, or if you want to just like have pressure and just like sit at 5 point, like you do that. But it's not worth your time to go here now because once you show, then it's free for them to walk up into your bot side jungle and
And
ward
get vision.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you show here, they see you, you saw them, they saw you, right?
Yeah. Okay. I was wondering where they would have saw me, but it was
It
Jack's
was a
side.
Jax,
Yeah.
right? So Vayne, if she wanted to, she would have walked up. She should have walked up. Lulu should be up here going toward your stuff.
Yeah.
I would have been on that mission. If I saw people top, your stuff's warded.
See, but that's also a comp philosophy because in solo queue, it's oh shit, they show top, we need to all run top and be there for the fight that's about to happen. Because
Depends.
if you're not there, you're gonna get pinged the fuck out, right?
I would actually be like, peace out. I'm not joining you. I'm just gonna go for their stuff because that's
Because
more.
Lulu had that idea. As soon as she saw it, she started walking top side. Of course, Vayne didn't move at all, but
Yeah.
um,
But I mean, you can't always assume what people are gonna do, right?
yeah. So here I'm just trying to see how the Lulu's gonna play. Oh, and then that's how I can tell she's gonna be more of a passive, which is great for me because if I'm not being poked, I'm gonna be more useful later.
What did you take level 1?
W. Into double range, I try to always go W.
What runes do you have?
Aftershock, but into a poke lane like this, I'll go second wind.
Okay, so what does Aftershock do for you?
Gives me the burst of tankiness.
Yeah, so does W proc your Aftershock or no? Yes,
Yeah.
it does. Right? So I think it could have been an angle to look at this point. Just to like get a trade.
Level 1 trade?
Yeah, and then peace out.
Okay.
But since like Ash is auto slow, perhaps you can have like an extended trade, but but at a certain point when your aftershock's about to go off, I mean like proc, then we're like walking away to conserve our health, right?
Yeah.
But it could have been like an angle, right? Where it's like
Sure.
it could have been an angle, right?
And I can usually soak a free auto attack because my passive heals it all back up.
Mm-hmm.
So I usually like to play around that.
Oh, it didn't open. Okay.
So I'm looking to see if I can move into that middle brush and get pressure onto there.
I think since you were here already before they were, you can just stay. Right?
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I can make them use one of their wards, so you're right.
But also, you know that Nidalee's starting top, so we could be in lane first. In general, right?
I think we were still walking back, though. That was the biggest issue from the top lane play.
Because we like stopped and paused here, because we could have been bought here.
Oh, true. Yeah, no,
Right? And
I was still
since
5 pointing.
yeah, and since you because Ash is walking from base, but since you had freedom to do so, what you could have done is potentially like, maybe you're like walking here and you're sitting in this like bush or something, and if you wanted to, since you saw like Kha'Zix here with the Tristana ward, since we were sitting here already, right? We decide maybe we want to pull wave and deny XP.
Yeah, I do need to pull more overall.
Right? So then imagine, right? Because since you got to lane first, you didn't need to leash. That means you like inherently, because it's like Vayne Lulu is kind of like weaker early, right? Like inherently have an advantage level 1, even though it's Lulu is ranged. Do you see that now?
Yep.
Right? So maybe if we pulled, or maybe if we were just here first and we autoed one time, then we have push. We can get level 2 first. Do we see that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we get level 2 anyway, just because I'm able to pressure the melees faster than Lulu.
Yeah, but that's just something that to be aware of for next time, right?
Yeah. So I'm looking on Lulu at this point, but then I realize there's an extra caster, so I have to back up.
Yeah, so they hit 2 first, but we could have had that a little bit differently, right?
Yeah, I was ready to flash onto the Lulu if we would have hit 2 once the melee died, but those extra casters, I was like, alright, I'm calling it off.
Yeah, so it's important to like, make sure we're counting as well.
Mm-hmm.
You could also ping and be like, hey, this is the minion that I'm looking for, right? Or like,
Yeah.
you kill this one, right? You tell them to hit this one, right? Sometimes I do that with my adversary, like, we are gonna hit 2, but I'm walking up already. I want you to kill this one, but I'm gonna start walking up already. So
Yeah.
it's just communication with pings.
That like Lulu looks so juicy right now.
Yeah, so I still feel like it's like good opportunity for you to play more aggressive in this lane in general, just to pressure. Even though it's like kind of like neutral-ish, we can still extend our punishment, right? We're punishing them for being passive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's definitely opportunity to punish the passiveness.
Yeah, there's a lot of opportunities like what we could do is be like, we have more pings now, right? So what we could do is being like, hey, let's actually crash the 3rd wave and just let the rest of the waves come back to us, because we know for a fact that Nidalee's coming bot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we just tell Ash, hey, let's not touch the wave anymore. Let's back off. And then she gets chunked because we are not on the same page, right?
Right, yeah. So I was looking to cover try because I don't think we knew where Kha'Zix was at that point, or is that right after he died top lane? Can't remember.
Something happened.
I forgot why I felt the need to go throw sapling and try.
I forgot where we saw him. He died top, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, he's top. What does he have? He has blue and red. So that means he went from bot to top.
Yep. And we saw him do stars bot camp.
Yep. So which means that he's gonna be bot after this, which is not, like a good gut instinct to have that he's gonna be here next. But it was important for us to ping Ash, be like, hey, we're gonna push this one in, and then this next one we just leave. I could go sapling this bush, we back off, and we just wait for Nidalee to come bot.
Yeah.
Right, because there was no like super need to push this wave, and because you left, they punish.
I fully agree, but I should have pinged her off just to say, hey, I'm walking over here. Careful.
Yeah, I don't know if there was and I don't know if there was an instance for you to flash immediately after you get out of your W.
If I didn't queue, I think I could have, but I got condemned pretty simultaneously.
Yeah, because that's the thing with Maokai W, right? It's like if you're under their tower or close to their tower, they can just flash into tower, just like how Leona has like E, and if you just bait the Leona E into tower, she just kind of dies, right?
Right. And usually I'm cognizant of that, and I just immediately flash as well, but, you know, I got condemned. I mean, at that point, no point in me wasting my flash. So she gets a double, and I'm like, alright, this lane's pretty doomed at this point. And I look to just play mainly for more macros. I'd be surprised if I was back bot lane after this.
Yeah. But yeah, so recap of what we talked about from the first 5 minutes. If you could recap what we talked about or what you learned.
Could have definitely pressured more level 1, just because I have the aftershock. And could have punished a little bit harder, knowing that my Nidalee's starting top, whether that's, you know, bush camping or just being a little bit more aggressive positioning for it, you know, pulling the wave, something like that too. And then of course just communicating intent with my ADC via pings, just, you know, hey, I'm going up toward this brush, back up, don't get chunked. We know Nidalee's coming. We should not touch the wave. Let it push into us. Pretty prime gank, pretty prime great gank angle at that point. So I would say those are kind of the biggest highlights for me.
Yeah. I also notice in general that you're playing your triangles better.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully those videos helped.
Yes.
Did
I mean,
you?
we had whole 2v2 triangle sessions as well early into our team formation. So I'll try to be a lot more cognizant of that.
Yeah, because there was a few times that I saw that it was like a big issue. At least the recent ones that I've watched. Um, so I just wanted to like address that as well, right? Because it's also
Okay.
like pretty recent from what I've saw, and I do believe that if I'm not mistaken, it's more of a problem when, especially when you're playing uh, something that you're not quite familiar with, like for example, like that Seraphine game, or like maybe like enchanters in general. Maybe. What do you think?
I mean, I main Seraphine a couple seasons ago, so I'm very comfortable on the champion. I think in that game, that one particular game, we could have had first blood, but Mitch wasn't um, used to playing with the Seraphine, I think, because he didn't expect the damage output. Um, so I guess he didn't like. I know how I can push limits on my champion because I've played it a lot, but I don't think Mitch has played with the Seraphine enough to know that, oh, you know, Seraphine's looking to be aggressive. I can also uh, push the limits on this as well. So I
Um,
think it's just
yeah. Go ahead.
me. I don't know how to explain it, but for Seraphine, I'm very comfortable. Enchanters in general, I would say it's more the melee supports that I have less of the comfort on.
It's because like I bring that specific example up because I did talk to Mitch about it, and the core concept that was a little bit lacking was that you were about to hit level 2 and you started walking up after you hit level 2. So the core concept is you know for a fact 100%, or even if 100% you know that you're going to hit level 2 first, just start walking up even before you hit 2 to like pressure. And I feel that if we were further up in the lane, a little bit further, we could have killed them if they didn't respect you.
I think that is true. I'm usually not used to pressuring the level 2 as an enchanter. Obviously, as a melee engage support, yeah, level 2 it can usually lead to a kill. But with enchanters, it's like, all right, I either have to hit a skill shot, or we have to use a lot to maybe get a kill. So I think that is something I need to be more cognizant of. Is just that anytime you're hitting level 2, you have that pressure ability.
Yeah. And as an enchanter, especially ranged versus melee, you are basically in most like 99% of situations guaranteed to hit level 2 first if you because you just have more range, right? If
If
you
you're
play it
autoing
properly,
a lot,
yes. If you're really pushing, well, you should, right? You should have level 2, but whether you play it incorrectly or correctly, that's another question, right?
sure, yeah.
And in matchups, just in general, another info tidbit, and in matchups where it's like hard for ranged support in a range versus melee matchup, hard for them to pressure for level 2, then instead what we can do is take the what is this called? Relic shield instead of spell thieves, and then
hmm
that way we can get more of a probability to hit 2 first, right?
Yeah.
Anything else from this specific game that you want to look at, or any questions that you had?
No, I mean, after this, I'm just purely playing macro. I think I just camped the jacks at this point because I think that was a pretty volatile lane that, if pushed in our favor, we can win the game. So I just live top after this.
Gotcha. I think there was a lot to take away from that one.
I think so too.
We can do one more.
Sure.
Um, anyone that you specifically wanted to look at that you feel that
Uh,
you struggled with?
I mean, I think the Tarek matchup is just difficult overall because he's just a stronger champ than Maokai. I don't know if we necessarily need to take a look at that because that was just a scuff game in general. I think the Alistar game was a decent one, or the Thresh game. So either of those two.
Sure. Um, this one. Um, what can you tell me about this matchup?
Similar to the Rel, it's kind of a net neutral. Alistair doesn't ever want to go in because I can kind of separate the two for the most part, and punish the Alistair if he looks to overextend. Um, and similarly, I'm not looking to go in because then Alistair could pulverize, knock me back, and isolate the two. So it's a usually push and pull of two supports that aren't looking to engage on each other, but if they see an opportunity where one of the ADCs overextends, maybe there's an angle. But given the Kaisa and Trist, uh, it's hard to see somebody coming out with the kill pre-6 if everyone plays the way they should be.
Like, cause what I'm thinking is like, if you were to go in, right, then that
hmm
means like Alistair will push you away, but that means he can't push Trist away, right? Which is something to
hmm
think about.
Or he can push the Trist away and keep me isolated so that the Kaisa wails on me. Because if I ever W onto him, try to knock him back, he's closer to Trist, so he's just going to W the Trist, pulverize me, and the Kai'Sa's just wailing on me at that point.
Do you think it was important to get Lane Pro in this matchup?
Um, I mean, in general, I would say yes, but knowing that my Hecarim is bot start to top, I am fine with them shoving into us.
Well, the thing with that is, right, like if he's starting bot, right? So like what you can do is like, oh, if he's gonna be bot, which he's gonna do this crows, red golems
Correct.
go top.
Yep.
Sorry. Yeah. Krugs.
I feel like that's a really
Um
inefficient pathing.
and at that point in time it'll maybe take like a minute and a half. So what we could do is do like a 3-wave crash, and then after that the wave will be on our side when Hecarim's top. Hopefully, yes, we see that.
Yeah. Yeah, because when he, well, why do we want the wave on our side when he's top? I mean, I guess just so that we're not um, vulnerable to a gank, because he's across the map from that perspective. But then we're also not setting him up for a gank
uh
if
i'm
we're
I mean,
letting
they
it
have
shove
an
to us when he's
Elise,
far.
right?
Yeah.
So she, depending on where she starts, top hasn't shown yet, and you don't know if they leashed or not.
Hmm.
Um, like she could be anywhere. So it's just like maybe what we do with our time is perhaps ward for a level 3 Elise gank, since we had time to do so because we didn't need to um,
Ward where?
leash.
River or Tribush?
Maybe before the lane starts, we can ward wherever, right? Or if we are really bold and our team is coordinated enough, we can go see where she starts.
Okay, because they ward that brush. I don't know if you noticed, like as soon
Yeah.
as the lane started.
But it was like all the time that we had from minute 0 up until that point to do whatever, right?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe instead we're like sitting here already, right? Or we're just like watching, because since we are here first, right? Because we have to walk either through here or through here. If we're standing here already and we see them, oh, like I see a bunch of them, that means, oh, we're just gonna back off, right?
Right.
So we could have been here before they would have been here. So it was like basically no risk unless if Alicia decides to start E and then like flash EU, you know,
Yeah.
which is really bad for a clear, and then Hecarim should just win the game. Just punish her, right?
Yep.
So that's something we could be thinking about better, is what we want to do with our level 1, especially when we don't have to leash.
Okay.
And then that way, this ward protects you for the 3-wave crash, right? If you dropped one earlier, right? And then we
Yep.
went to lane for prio to push on 3 and then have it back when Hecarim's top. So it also denies like at least even a potential to be bought, unless if they're crazy enough to want to dive on 3, which you would probably just win, right?
Yep. They're hitting 2 here, but this guy trolls. Hex just immediate reset, by the way. I think he went to just get boots off the 3 camps.
Mm-hmm. Which is fine, right? Because then he just goes straight top then.
Yeah.
Because we could like attempt to like auto the wave as well, right? To help. At least like you're not using your stack, but to get like the, to get
Yeah.
damage off. So that's what we could be doing level 1. And then we want to back off when they're about to hit 2, right? To respect that.
Right.
So that's what we could have done differently in lane, is to like tether and just play like hitting minions, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we could have potentially like walked up just slightly out of Kaisa Q range here to help hit the other one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she backs off here. So maybe we walk up and we like see if we can hit this one time for free, right? You hit it one time for free, the turret hits it, you hit it a second time, and the Triss kills it, right?
Right.
Because it's really hard for Triss to like CS under tower, so anything that you can do to help her, right? Which is why we like it's like preferred. It's like, you know, where it's like in a matchup where you can shove Triss under tower, it's like a really fun time, right?
Right. Yeah, I felt like Trish was taking some really rough trades here. Just trying to get one auto attack off when Kaisa always had Q up. So she just perma lost.
Yeah, but also like there's some things that we could have also done better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
We know that's warded. Because now, whoever knows where Elise is now.
Yep, we just saw the scrying get hit.
Yep. Is it possible to It is possible to cancel his dash midway through. I mean, his dash, right?
Yeah, it's. I mean, I wouldn't say it's too difficult, but
Yeah. If it's something
have to be
that,
quick with it.
yeah, if you feel that it's something that's a little bit difficult to do, then maybe we just play, you know, off of our AD carry so we both don't get hit, right? And that way
Mm.
we can do something. Because it's really good that you like, you know, push them two away. Because you.
Yeah, because and that's usually what I try to do. You know, if that's my logic. If he
Mhm.
goes in on me, I'm gonna isolate Alistair at that point because I can go in on him, pressure the Kaisa to walk away while also queuing him backwards.
Yeah, because Tristan can jump and he went on Trist, but got you as well with that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were slightly off and you didn't get hit, I think that Alistar might die here.
Okay, so it's me taking that initial CC as well that might have screwed it. Yeah, it's just unfortunate both die there.
Yeah, but at this point in the game, uh, which wave is this? This is fourth wave, right? Or what is this?
Yes.
Fourth wave. Okay. So imagine if this wave was like, if there was, I guess they would be meeting in the middle here. It's fine.
Yeah,
That
because
would
one
have
thing that I
looked the
wanted
same
to be
anyways. Yeah.
one thing I want to be cognizant of is just not being too overextended versus an Elise, just because of
Yeah.
how potent of a ganker she is. So I'm usually fine if the lane's shoving into us. I know the Triss doesn't prefer that.
But as long as it's not like, if you hold it under, I mean, out of tower range, then she's happy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, if we were able to like, you know, not get hit by the initial, and then maybe at this point, we like back off, right? We try to peel Kaisa, and then
Yeah,
we're
and that's
walking
what I was
away
trying to
now,
do.
right?
I mean, at this point, I'm strong. Like, I think I could have gotten the Alistair and definitely got away from the Kaisa, but then as soon as the Elise came, it was
Yeah,
over at
so
that
maybe
point.
you just take, if you feel that you can kill, you can take it, right? I'm not too sure micro-wise that way, because I don't play either of these champs, so it's hard for me to give like critical
Mm-hmm.
feedback.
No, that's fair. I mean, at
Doing
the end
my
of the day,
best.
we got
Yes.
ganked. So
Yeah, and we could have, you know, played the level 1 better. That's really good. You
Oh, I
baited
had to eat that.
them.
If I didn't eat that W, Triss dies for free. Like she's trolling here. I'm walking up to deny that W.
Yes.
So cringe that I have to do that.
uh, you did your job. Whether they did theirs is not your problem.
So I think at this point I'm looking to make a play for Drake just because I know we're down 2 kills, but I think we can always look for a pressure.
uh,
There's a big fight here. I think it ends up working in our favor. We get 2 kills for it.
we see them walking up. Heckram is nowhere near us. We have no idea where all 4 members of them are.
Mm-hmm.
So it is currently a 2v4. Little
Currently dangerous to
sus.
walk too far out. That's why I'm just looking
Yes.
to get a little bit of vision. I forget if I was trying to sapling or if I had a ward.
You had a pink ward and probably, yes, saplings. So we did good to clear this mid wave first. And then now we see Kaisa over here.
And we see Azir TPing, so I'm like, okay, maybe this is a potential play, even though we see. Well, watch me W the. Do you see that? I
Mm.
W the Viger ult.
Mm-hmm.
That little bit of
Like
staying alive, I think, helped us get the 2 kills.
Consider, like, if you know for a fact that they're going to go for you, right? So consider like how you want to use your aftershock, right? Because it's still like really early in the game. It does a lot of stuff, like a huge bonus to you, right? So what if we just held our aftershock, right? So our abilities, and then now we have it up. So we would imagine if you had it up right now, right?
Okay.
So that's something to consider, right? It's just a little optimization, you know?
Sure. I know, like my thought process at the time was just to get as close to the Azir as possible because I saw him TPing in. That's our only chance to potentially come away with a winning play here.
Yeah, because we can also, instead of like hitting them, we can also just straight walk.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, the Alistair surprised me. I think he hex flash over the wall. I'm like, all right, let me just get him away from me. Yeah, he just like pops out of nowhere. So that's where my aftershock immediately procs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They just didn't respect.
Mm-hmm. Too bad we lose the game because of Cho'Gath's build.
Oh, he flashed for no reason and then didn't respect. This was because they were bad.
Yeah, the ally would just troll there. I don't know what the fuck was happening there.
What you could consider to do is, at this point, so maybe instead, because Kaisa's dead, Kaisa's walking from base, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this point, so 30 seconds from now, right? So what we can do is maybe walk up with, I mean, Elise here isn't going to contest this Drake because, well, her mid laner's not in lane, and
Kaisa just died.
Kaisa just died. So you know that she's not going to contest, and if she does, she's dead, right?
Right.
So what you could do is if you really feel that Elise might attempt to like die, which shouldn't be likely, maybe we're just, while we walk up here, we just like recall in bush here. And then we're walking topside.
Straight to Rift.
Yeah. Right? So imagine we're basing, so let's say, when was that? Right here, right? So what? We start basing, so we'll be based at like 20-ish, right?
So I can understand like being proactive to go for that top play, and knowing that Elise shouldn't be going for Drake once mid lane wasn't there and Kai'Sa just died. But there's gonna be some times where the Alistar and Elise are like, all right, we can stall Viger and Kai'Sa will be here soon enough. And if I would have based and Hecarim's just in pit all alone, and then what if the Elise and Alistar were to walk up on him?
So that's why you sit over here and you're basing here, just watching.
Okay.
Right? Because you don't need to be hitting wave with Tristana, right? You can give her XP and you could be watching. And you have pink ward too, right? So maybe instead what you do is right here, when she dies, you walk up, you can put a pink here, put a sapling here, or something like that. And then you can start your recall. And if something happens, you just cancel. And you're close enough to help with whatever happens. Because if you see Alistar walking this way too, then you know something's up. But if he stays here, then it's just going to be Elise.
Mm-hmm.
And in which case, it's like,
right.
Why would she do that, right?
My usual train of thought is because we saw this next wave pop up. All right, I want to help him shove. Because I also want to get EXP for 6 for this Rift Herald fight, because at this point we don't know that Elise is on Rift Herald. And then also be nearby to help out Hecarim in case it goes poorly, because he's getting kind of low, but he should be in smite range soon.
Yeah, because if he needed help, he would also ping it, right? So
yeah.
Do you get EXP for helping kill Drake?
Yes.
I don't.
Yeah. So if you are really thinking about hitting 6, then yeah, I understand like why you would stay, but you consider like, because you're still not 6 here, right? So maybe you throw a sap instead here, and then you kill wave and then base.
But is it local though? Like, do I have to be in the pit to get the EXP, or if I just hit it once, walked away, do I still get the EXP?
It counts as like an assist, right? Is what I think, at least. But anyways, yeah, but anyways, like the general macro thing here is that like we right, there's a bunch of time, so about a minute and 20 seconds worth of time for you to do anything you want right now, or you would have had, right? Because Triss stayed for 2 waves, right? And then Triss needs to back, and Triss needs to walk back to lane. So you had a solid minute and 20 seconds to do whatever, whether that's like, looking top, looking mid, warding something. Like there's a lot of stuff that you could have done, right?
Yeah.
And then you see Elise here, you would already be here, right? And maybe you would just stay out of range of her and be like, hey, I'm here already. We are Omega collapsing on this Elise.
Sure.
And then she is out of the game because you're here already. You're just, right? And you're like, maybe you walk around for her because she wouldn't know where you are, because you'd be probably here by now, right? And then she's just dead. And then you would be here for all of this, so Heka doesn't die. And this would go entirely differently, right?
Yeah, I also hesitated. Like, I saw the Elise there, didn't expect the play to actually happen, so I started walking, then I started walking away, and then I'm like, shit, something is happening. And I walked back. But I could have been there probably 10, 15 seconds earlier, even without what you recommended to do.
Yeah, because it's like, I don't know, there's this like thing that my math teachers had told me. It's like, oh, when you struggle with like addition, right? And if you never know what like 8 plus 7 is and you always go back and you check it, you're never gonna remember what 8 plus 7 is, and you're always gonna have to look in your book what 8 plus 7 is. Like, just at some point, just like be like, this is what 8 plus 7 is, and if I'm wrong, it's okay. And then you'll eventually learn it. Whereas if you keep looking in your book, you're never gonna know, right? So it's like the same thing here.
Sure.
It's like the play is going to happen, and it's about like feeling it in your, like, having it to a point where you just feel it in your gut and you just do, right? So we're up here already, right? And then if you're right, then that's like the cycle of positive feedback. And if you're wrong, then it'd be like, oh, you recognize that, sure, I was wrong, but this is something that could have happened. And if I was here, then that's great. If I wasn't, I didn't lose anything, because Trist is still, she killed Kaisa and now she's walking on her way back. So I didn't lose anything. Plus, I might have gotten this mid wave, right? Because I would have seen it be crashing. My Azir is away, right? I'm gonna help, whatever, right? So like stuff like that is like just knowing when things are gonna happen by reading what happened before.
Yeah, having that gut instinct for it. Yeah.
Any questions or anything else that you want to talk about for this game?
No, just Cho'Gath build a Hextech proto belt? Like, is that a thing? Or did my Cho'Gath just troll?
I don't think I like, the purpose of this is to, like, look at where we
I
could be
know.
better. So it doesn't really matter what he builds, right? Even if he built something really troll, and we played to the best that we can, there's a potential to win the game.
Yeah, no, I think so too. I mean, I think we were winning up to a certain point, which is not now. I think it's a little
Yeah,
bit later
because
on that
every
it gets
little
out of
thing
hand.
adds up, right? It's like
Yeah.
every ward that you ping, that $5 adds up,
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. So, just every little thing. To recap this game, what are the things that you took away that were most important to you from this game?
For me, I think there's just a general theme of being more proactive. Because normally I would think that this lane is kind of a neutralizing lane, but I think I could have been more proactive about, getting the bush control so that we get the shove, making sure our wave's in a good spot, based off of what my ADC wants to play. But then also just, being closer to where the fights are. There was that one river fight that could have gone poorly, ended up being in our tri-bush fight, and then being on our blue side once Elise was invading. So overall, kind of just being more proactive, following the instincts, because I thought that there was something happening, and I immediately started walking there. I saw Elise walk away, so I was like, all right, let me go back bot, and there ended up being a fight anyway. So if I trusted my instincts, maybe that turns to a 3-0 in our favor, and the game's completely flipped at that point. So I would say that those are kind of the two biggest things.
Mm-hmm. In regards to, because we looked at a few games, so what are some patterns that you see between games, and what you will do to fix them or become better at said thing?
I mean, I know by nature I'm a very passive player in lane, because I don't think that we ever need to get kills in lane to win the game. I'm much more comfortable roaming and being more macro oriented to get our advantages. But at the same time, like taking game 2 with the Vayne Lulu, I could have been a lot more aggressive even from level 1. Whereas, you have some default notion that champs like Alistar, Maokai, they can only be aggressive at level 2 and beyond. Um, Not necessarily the case. So I think that that's something I want to work harder on. I think cleaning up the triangles as well. I know I feel like I'm getting better at them, but at the same time, I felt like just from watching the replays, there was a lot of situations where I'm like, Kai'Sa overstepped. I could have punished. Um, so doing a little better with that, and also just being more efficient with my time. Even Astros mentioned that sometimes I stick around to it for an objective to hit it when I could have started my reset and went cross map to make a play, or I'm looking to get a ward or a sapling down, which is costing me another 10-15 seconds of recall time. So yeah, I would say just being a little bit more lane dominant and uh, being time efficient, so I could be where the play happens first.
Yeah. That's really good. And for homework for the games that you play,
Hmm.
to like take an instance from like um every game, maybe just like take a screenshot and be like, hey, this is what's going on, this is what happened, and this is how I could have played it better, and respect to the two things that you said.
Right.
And then you can either keep that for yourself, or if you want to share it, that'd be great. And then there's feedback that goes on, right? You can
Okay.
even, like, there's ADCs here, a bunch of ADCs, bunches of other supports, right? Like, I'm sure that Steve would be more than happy to be like, oh, like, maybe this is something you can consider as well, right?
Hmm.
I'm always happy to analyze and discuss stuff.
Awesome. What was the other thing? Oh, be more lane dominant. Sorry, I'm just taking notes
Any
here.
other things, questions, or things that you want to say before we finish off here?
Um, actually, I kind of want to just go back to the. So, is there any like video that you have to recommend just that kind of overall encompasses kind of various interactions that I should know about between specific support matchups that you think might be helpful? Because I think that one video that Core JJ had about Nautilus being able to play into Leona was huge. I didn't realize that that was the case. Um, I don't
Yeah,
know if there's other like videos like that out there.
there probably is. I have only one. While I'm uploading it, my upload speed is slow.
Okay.
So, it was actually yesterday's session with Steve that we did some Caitlyn, Zerath, and Ziggs Nautilus. Ziggs and Caitlyn. So Caitlyn's going to be strong in this upcoming patch, or
Sure.
this patch, and uh, the counter, or I guess the nullifying, would be the Ziggs, because he matches. Well, he's a mage and he can throw Qs from long range, and matches wave clear. So he kind of nullifies her in a sense. So um, you can watch that one. I'll link it to you when it's finished uploading, and you can watch that. Other things that you could do is maybe watch like LPL supports, not like NA supports. Sorry. And see how they play the lane,
See it.
and watch a few games, because some games, like, and ask why, right? Like, because some games, maybe it's like an outlier game, and maybe you just watched outlier game, so that's why it's important to like watch multiple games with like similar matchups. I would say, like, for example, Ziggs Nautilus and Varus Zerath would be similar to Kaelin Zerath. So you can clump them together and consider it like basically the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Korea and Barrel a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like them because they do unique picks too. So that's usually what draws me to them. No, it's weird because usually in comp games, I feel like bot lanes are very passive. They usually don't push the lanes to the limit that you would think in theory. But um,
It's because both sides know the limit, but this is NA solo queue and this is NA comp. So uh, there's a lot of stuff that you can punish. There's a lot of mistakes.
okay.
But it's being aware of what those mistakes and what you can punish. Right? So also, if you can't find any videos that you want, I mean, like, even if it's not a most recent video, it's fine to watch too, as long as it's like still like the champion itself hasn't changed, right? Because the core concept of how the lane should be played should be relatively similar, even if it's like season 12.
Yep, makes sense.
Yeah, and otherwise, other than that, it's like coming up with your own theories. And if you have questions or want us to double check, because Leighton's not here, but he's the lane micro counterpart to myself. So
Okay.
yeah, and you can just DM me, and then I can ask him, and he has better things to say about specific matchup interactions and micro and stuff.
Cool. Sounds good.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, right. I think I am all set. This has been a fantastic coaching session, so thank you for your time. And I'll be looking to implement this in solo queue and hope to share some updates soon.
Perfect. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you.
Awesome.
I won't.
Okay, Tom. All right, guy.
Okay, that is all from me.
I have a question.
Yes.
Can you go Kraken Navori on Cho'Gath? Would that work?
That is not a question to ask me.
What? You're not the Cho'Gath GOAT?
I'm not the